Ahoy hoy, I'm Planetwalk, and if you can believe it, I get comments every day on my YouTube channel about anything. That's the intro. Last I checked, chlorine dioxide is not a bleach. Bleach is a function, not a chemical. Oh, I thought bleach was the name of a chemical like sodium hypochlorite.
Oops.
Well, now I know better, so next time I don't have any excuses. Damn it, is Rumble the right-wing version of Bumble? No, and that's probably a good thing, because gay dating apps already exist. It's just that everybody on those dating apps are aware that they are on a gay dating app. Like, could you imagine a gay dating app that itself was in denial about it being a gay dating app?
I'm new here, you're trans, right? I'm like 99% sure, but I don't want to just assume.
Well, at risk of scaring people off by simply being myself, yes. Is everyone still here? Software engineers flirting with the extinction of mankind probably means AI, and that's actually the most sense he's made that day. Well, even then, Tucker Carlson could have a point about AI wiping everyone out, but Tucker Carlson wouldn't be able to make that point. The only point that Tucker could make is that Skynet might happen, which I think is a very narrow-minded view of AI. However, there are very real concerns around AI and whether it might be bad for humanity. Like, I don't know, the fact that it uses a lot of energy, contributing more and more to climate change. I find it very hard to believe that Tucker Carlson, of all people, would be someone who is particularly concerned about climate change. There is also the issue that AI uses a lot of water, which could lead to water shortages, but again, I don't see any conservatives talking about that. And sure, AI is really bad for people in creative endeavours, like art, but that's not extinction of humanity. Extinction of creativity may be, but not humanity. And there are also concerns about AI being potentially used to spread misinformation, but I mean, that's not a point that Tucker Carlson would make. It's Tucker Carlson that we're talking about. I think the extent of his problems with AI don't really exist in reality as it is. It's more of a fantasy idea of what if AI decides to just kill everybody. Greedy businessmen are ruining the world. I didn't know Tucker hates unregulated capitalism. You clearly don't get it. If we regulate capitalism, then that makes greedy people even greedier. If you unregulate capitalism, then greedy people will just be really generous and give people all the wealth that they would ever need. Sure, trickle-down economics doesn't work, but have you tried trickling down even harder on everyone?
Even your title is wrong. Bill Gates put forward the hypothesis that all atoms are connected via electromagnetic ropes, and not that he thinks everything is made of ropes.
I kinda hate that I know more about Bill Gates' pseudoscientific beliefs than the people trying to defend Bill Gates do. Because Bill Gates believes that atoms are made out of these electromagnetic ropes. When the rope reaches the atom, it untangles to create the atom. That is everything being made out of electromagnetic ropes. Dude, please explain to me your appearance. Is it a trans thing or non-binary thing? Like, is it that you just don't recognize something? I'm not trolling. I just started watching your videos. I like your work. I'm just trying to understand, and I find the best thing is to always just straight up ask the person. I don't want to assume anything. Do I need to make another video coming out? Because I've already made 3 videos where I've come out. Sure, one of them was coming out as bisexual, but there's 2 videos where I came out as trans. One of them is actually like the first one that comes up when you go to my channel page and you are subscribed. It's hard to miss.
Quite bangable.
I would like to counter with, no you. I don't buy that HRT isn't suited for a blind study because it's too obvious. People falsely believe that their bodies physically change all the time. Well, if you are on estrogen, then it is pretty quickly noticeable whether your breasts are growing or not. The changes will be obvious shortly enough. The longest that you could run a double-blind study on estrogen would be probably 3 months. At that point, no amount of wanting breasts is going to make you falsely believe that you have breasts. Also, if there is someone interacting with both groups for the sake of keeping track of stuff, then that person will also notice.
If Plana ever changes it up with a good boy, I'm doomed.
Well, you have stayed hydrated, right? Good boy.
When I debated you, the Earth was a globe, and you were a man. A lot has changed, huh?
I mean, the Earth is still a globe. I haven't heard about the Earth transitioning. And I mean, I don't really think that anyone ever really considered me a man. Wait a second, who was that? Oh, it's Right the Hand. I thought he was gone after his channel got deleted. Can he, like, leave permanently next time? Also, I did check and it seems that he is making videos again that are probably incorrect, so let me know if you want to see a debunk of them.
Hey PW, as much as I'm basically fine with trans people, there are times when I just don't understand the urge. When the person who wishes to transition seems so very well suited to their current/original gender. And I guess that I place you in that category. It would seem to me that you just come off far too traditionally masculine to live naturally as a female. In short, you make a fine bloke, and I don't know why it might not feel right for you to just be one. Hate away if you must, but I'm only being honest, trying to understand. So as long as you are happy with you, then I'm happy for you.
So I can definitely see why someone might think this, and I've gotten similar sentiments from other people as well, but this one is the most respectfully worded one. So the first thing that you need to realize is that trans people have an idea of who they would like to be. And that idea of who they would like to be doesn't necessarily line up with what people think that they should be. I think a good analogy to this would be career choice. I have been repeatedly asked, why didn't I study music? Why did I study IT instead and then go on to do a graduate diploma of audio production? And the answer to that is I wanted to do game development. I didn't really see much of a point of studying to be a musician when I don't even have a band. I don't even know how to put a band together. On the surface, it seems like, yeah, I should be able to make a great musician. I can play music, I can play guitar, I can even sing to some extent. However, having the skills to be a musician isn't all that is required. There are a lot of other things, and I'm not entirely sure that I'd be able to make that work. However, when it comes to programming, I'm a lot more comfortable there. I know what I'm doing, at least to some extent. I don't think I'd be comfortable if just because I had the skills to be a musician, that meant that I had to be one. Likewise, when it comes to my gender, I was told by multiple people that I was a good-looking guy. I sometimes, but very rarely ever saw it. I had no idea what I was trying to aim for, especially with fashion choices, but also with things like a haircut. I actually remember multiple times when I got a haircut, I would think, okay, hopefully this one works out, but there was always something off. However, despite me being able to tell that there was something off and I didn't know what it is, there would be a whole lot of people telling me that haircut looks great on you. So there was definitely a contrast there between what I thought of myself and what other people thought. And if you're the one making decisions about yourself, you've always got to go with what you think about yourself. So when I realized that transitioning is an option that I could do, I decided that is the option that works best for me. It doesn't necessarily work best for everyone else, but I have to live with my body. So yeah, a bit of a long-winded explanation, and I'm not sure that I tied everything together properly, but I hope it helps you understand. By the way, I wouldn't mind being a musician. It's just I know that all the things involved in it, to do it at least full-time would be very difficult. So it's like, I can do it like part-time, I guess. And in a way that relates quite well to me being non-binary. I don't mind being a little masculine sometimes. In fact, sometimes I'll try to be more masculine than I can actually really achieve. So there we go, we've tied it all together.
Jesus wants to be a part of your life. He is calling for you to come back to him.
Wait, isn't Jesus dead? That sounds like you're telling me to, join him in that activity. Yeah, I think I don't want to do that. Jesus is always welcome to come into my life if he wants. I mean, that shouldn't be too hard. He is Jesus after all, right? He can do a lot of things, like come back to life.
First of all, what the hell happened to you, man? Second, there is literally zero evidence of evolution. Trying to compare it to flat Earth is beyond brain dead. Adaptation is literally all we have ever observed. Suggest microevolution will eventually lead to macroevolution is based entirely on nothing more than pure unsubstantiated speculation and ignores the fact that all species have limitations to how much they can change or adapt before they're no longer viable in the wild.
Okay, so creationists don't like this, but there is a direct parallel between flat Earth and denying evolution. It is the fact that both of these things completely ignore inconvenient evidence. There's also the fact that they both try to debunk strawmen. It is valid to compare creationism to flat Earth. Like, let's take the statement that you made about how there's limitations to how much a species can adapt before it's no longer viable. Well, what are we talking about there? Like, theoretically, birds can get pretty huge. We've had some pretty big birds here on Earth before. So what's stopping a small bird from becoming a large bird? There's no real mechanism to stop it. If there is a constant evolutionary pressure on a bird to become larger, then eventually it will become larger to the point where it doesn't need to be larger anymore. Now you could go, well, if the bird was the size of a whale, then it would die because, you know, it wouldn't be able to fly or something like that. And sure, I agree with you, but there are no birds the size of a whale. There is nothing in evolution that says that an unviable species would have to exist for evolution to be true. That is something that is made up by creationists.
Ken says to ask him if you have any questions. Why don't you do that?
Because Ken has made it impossible for me to ask any questions. He has blocked me from his channel. I despise labels. Just be yourself and be happy. Never apologize for who you are or explain yourself. You shouldn't have to. I judge people only on their soundness of their character. Well, actually, I don't think that labels are inherently a bad thing all the time. Yes, sometimes they are used to reduce someone down to a single aspect of their character, and that is bad. But I do think labels can be used to help identify with certain people. A lot of the times we're kind of told this is the way that we have to be, and when we're not that way, then we're seen as abnormal. In that respect, having a label to describe whatever is considered normal and whatever is considered abnormal can be useful for people to decide who they are themselves. I've heard plenty of stories of people who are attracted to the same sex or gender who are married to the opposite sex or gender because, well, that's what's considered normal. Having labels like straight to describe what is considered normal rather than just calling it normal can help people realize they don't actually have to be straight. The same goes for labels like cisgender and transgender. Had I heard those labels a lot earlier, I might have discovered myself a lot sooner.
I don't want to be called cis man. Only man.
Well, if you want to start an OnlyMans, that's fine. I didn't even know that was a thing. But you can also go on Grindr. I mean, that might work. In all seriousness, I have no problem with calling people a man if they don't want to be called a cisgender man. In fact, isn't that the default that people usually do? The only time I'd insist on someone being called cisgender or cis is if it's relevant to the conversation, or if they are insisting on someone else being called transgender or trans. Like if a trans man or a trans woman wants to just be referred to as a man or a woman, but you insist that they must be called a trans man or a trans woman regardless of what they want, then I'm going to just call you a cis man or a cis woman. However, if you respect them, then I will respect you. Easy.
You are an idiot. Look, Eurotrash, if you want to live in a block, walk everywhere and own nothing, move to Russia. Americans live where we want, drive what we want, eat what we want, farm what we want on land owned by us. Own planes and fly where we want. You and your kind leftist Euro ladies have fun living under the hobnailed boot of the New World Order. Patriotic Americans will continue to live free and clear of any global supervision. We will continue to pursue life, liberty, and happiness.
Okay, firstly, look, I don't think that the person leaving the comment owns a plane and can fly where they want. I don't even think that they're allowed to fly a plane, probably. Don't you need, like, special qualifications for that? But secondly, I don't get the aversion to Americans walking. Like, the idea of walking is really good. The problem with America is that they've made it harder to walk. Like, if I can get anywhere I need to go by walking, I would say that I actually have greater freedom as, you know, I could get anywhere I need to go by owning a car, but why would I do that if I can just walk? And in fact, needing to own a car to get around is kind of like paying a tax, but to a corporation. And on top of that, your tax dollars are going to a system that enforces you needing to get a car. And I don't know, there's just something very dystopian about that idea where you're essentially confined to a house unless you pay a tax. It almost sounds like the thing that this person is trying to fearmonger about. It really does seem like Americans prefer the Americanized aesthetic of freedom rather than actually having freedoms.
Hey planner, can you please link to the original video? Please? Ooh.
Okay, so I actually have a policy against linking to the videos that I respond to unless I have specifically said that I will be linking the person's channel in the description and not to harass them. The reason being is because if I link videos that I respond to in the description, then there is a high likelihood that the people from my channel will go to that video and just brigade it. I don't want that to happen. Obviously I can't prevent people from trying to find the original video, but I can do what I can to limit the amount that people get brigaded.
Won't be long now before the majority comes to the realization that gender-affirming care is the 21st century lobotomy.
Except gender-affirming care does help people. I say that as someone who has had gender-affirming care. The reason why I think a lot of people think that it will be a big scandal someday is because they've got this idea that one day we'll all realize that we're not actually happy or something. There's this idea that at some point down the road we will all regret it and then it'll be a big scandal, but you know, I have worried about whether I will regret HRT. But the realization that I came to is that I have a lot of regrets, a bunch of them, but I don't sit around moping about them. So I realized that even if I did end up one day regretting HRT, then I won't end up sitting around moping about something that I may end up regretting. And there's also the point of, what if I regretted not going on HRT? I think that at this point, if I hadn't have started HRT, I'd probably be regretting it by now. But yeah, the point is, nobody kicks up a scandal about all the other regrets that people have in life, and it's only when trans people are involved that the scandal is apparently going to happen.
Sure, there are conspiracies from A to Z, but the reason you picked woke is your trans community ties. You are biased and therefore not apt to take a side.
Okay, so this was a comment about the Baltimore Bridge thing, and the reason why I talked about woke in that video is because that's what a lot of people were complaining about. Like, sure, trans people are often considered woke for some reason, but a lot of other things are considered woke as well, like diversity, equity, and inclusion. At this point, woke just seems like a buzzword for me no like this thing. I mean, sushi has literally, in New Zealand, been called woke.
Can you please explain how sushi is woke?
Oh, look, if you don't get that sushi's woke, I don't know how to wake you up.
As for being biased, yes, I am biased. I think that everyone is biased to at least some degree, but that doesn't mean that you don't get to take a side. Like, I am biased against Flat Earth. That doesn't mean that I'm wrong.
So I'm a very kind person, so I'm gonna start by calling you a waste product, but I'm hard right and your trash is still fed to me by the algorithm. Ask yourself why you're being helped by big tech, huh?
So there's a funny thing here. The reason why I've shown up in this person's algorithm is not because I'm being helped by big tech. It's because of the content that this person consumes. Like, if you watch a lot of anti-trans videos and then I make a video about trans issues, then the algorithm isn't really going to distinguish between the two. The algorithm's just like, oh yeah, this person seems to like watching videos about trans people, we'll show them a video from a trans person, obviously. I think this person's comment says not only more about them, but the state of hard right media than it does about big tech or even myself.
3 good girls, and yes, I have curvature. 10 out of 10 video.
Oh no, I've set a standard for my videos to be good. I now have to say good girl like a certain amount of times for people to find my videos good. And I haven't even said it once yet in this video. At least not yet. Well, I don't think I'm going to be able to quite hit that quota as I am ending the video here, so leave a like and subscribe if you like this video. Leave a comment letting me know what you'd like to see me make videos on in the future. As always, a big shout out to my $20 or more patrons: Hugh Jarsz, M.C.Nutkin, Vermont1777, Tony C, Rosyna Keller, KidVicious, Sacha Campbell, Definitely Not NASA, Morrie, Richard M Chapman, Kaylee, and FistWizard. If you want to support me financially, you can do so on Patreon. There should be a link there, or you could buy me a coffee, which I forgot to read out today. I'll do it in the next reading comments video. I will see you in the next video. Between you and me, stay hydrated. Good girl.